Why are you shooting high or low or both at the same time?
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
Hey guys, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. I'm Brian Hill with a Complete Combatant, and this is your Mantis Dry Fire Mondays. Thought I'd do a video of diagnostic drills that I use to correct shooters in class. We see the same problems over and over and continuously, and some of the more generic responses don't work for everyone. There's a reason for that. As a shooter, you must address not only your technical problems, but your physiological and your psychological errors also. Technical will only work as long as the novelty exists and it feels like it's new, so you can pay attention to it. Once you stop paying attention to it, you'll simply go back to the bad habits. What bad habits are we talking about? Psychologically, you suffer from a number of biases in your mind. One is, does it have enough meaning? What is the order of the process? Is there enough time? Is there enough information? If you think about those biases, they're going to affect you greatly because they're going to cause you to make the same error over and over, even though you've realized how to press the trigger correctly or how to stand correctly, because it'll be a sensation of pressure on top of you. Physiologically, we have to deal with stress. Biology is much stronger than personality. When we dump all these good chemicals in our body, we perform well. When we choose poorly and we don't get ready for preparation, we get adrenaline and cortisol, we don't perform well at all. So how do we manage that also? All right. One thing I see a lot in class is stringing. Stringing is high and low. So if you're shooting on the target from here to here, maybe all your rounds are low, maybe some are all high, or maybe they're up and down. What causes this? One of the biggest reasons that people do this is a lack of postural stability. They like to talk about stance, and they like to put their nose over their toes and do things like that. But what they do is they create a bias, a forward lean, that presses them into shooting, and they can only make the oscillation work sometimes. So when I'm talking about oscillation-wise, is this. If I'm already leaning forward and I fire, what's going to happen is I'm going to rock, and then it's my decision when I press the trigger. If I'm always late to the decision and I press the trigger late, most of my rounds will be low. If I always press it at the same time because I'm bound to cadence, then they may be high and low. And if they're always high, it may be I'm trying to prep and I've been waiting for the thing, but I'm a little sooner. I'm impatient more than I need to be. So the easiest correction is to get postural stability. How do we do that? Make a good base. Close your eyes. Hold your hands out in front of you. If your fingers don't move, you've got a great base. Press your abs out and down. Get your spine in a straight line. Put your head up. It's all important from the feet to the head. Everything needs to line up. And the best way to do it is when you shoot or when you press the trigger in dry practice, look to see if that lean happens. It can be very, very subtle. Another reason that we string along with these shots is that at the moment of firing, we create more tension than we need to. A lot of people have deemed this as a flinch, but I don't think it's truly a flinch because it's very hard to surprise a person on their own trigger. All right, if you're shooting somebody else's gun, it'll be a surprise for a while. You buy a new gun, the novelty of it will allow you to shoot a little bit better. But primarily, we know when the gun's going to fire. So what we do is we begin to bear down. If you tighten your hands at the moment you fire and you lean into it, shots are going to go low. All right, so we have to deal with that tension. How do we deal with that tension? We try to apply at least a preemption, which means as I see the sight start to move down, I'm going to correct it. It would be better if we interfered with a sensation that extra pressure will not help me shoot well, as long as I'm standing still and I've got a good base. All right, and the final thing in this whole process that's a little harder to get a hold of is the psychological, physiological side of it. People stop breathing. And then the force acts on them as Newton said it would. For every force there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it starts pushing them around because they really don't know what to do with the tension, so they hold their breath. As soon as they hold their breath in shooting, what happens is it becomes much easier to move you around. You will never stop recoil, ever. No matter how big and strong you are, physics say it's impossible. So therefore your only choice is to manage recoil or to ride recoil or surf recoil. What I really want to see is the gun return to the same spot. I don't care how big or small you are, how big or small your hands are. I want to see the gun return to the same spot. One of the world's greatest shooters, Eric Greffel, said he lets the gun float. That shows you how little control and pressure he's putting on it. Too little is not going to be enough, and too much is definitely bad. And most people in this category fall under the too much category. Almost always shooters with too much. So a brief review. If you lean forward or you lean back, you're going to oscillate, and then you're going to make the decision. Psychologically, you may be late, which would be a cadence sort of shooting, or you may not have meaning, you're not tracking your sights, so you just shoot anyway. And then the final one is what we just talked about and just reviewed with it, is the inability to handle the psychological stress. So I want you to breathe deeply when you get to that one and try to let it relax and let it float, let it ride. You're a spring system, you absorb force, you cannot stop it. Don't lock your elbows out. If you lock anything, keep your wrist strong, but make your shoulders strong in the background. All right. So stringing, that can be managed. There's an occasional one I see for long distance shooters when we're shooting accuracy. And what happens is they begin to aim, and as they aim, they start to lean forward and the gun lifts up slightly, rendering a high shot. So pay attention to that if it happens. Postural stability. Make sure that you understand when to shoot and give it a proper order and have enough information. Or the final thing, make sure you handle the stress of shooting by breathing, relaxing, and let your body recoil management system happen. It's more like catching a baseball than it is pushing on a gun. Everybody gets the idea they need to put pushing force on it, but if you caught a baseball, you just give a little bit with it. It's the same thing with a handgun, all right? I don't know what the force characteristics are, but they got to be pretty close. You know, a baseball moves pretty damn fast along its pathway, so you just give it with a little bit. All right, there you go. Those are the things that I think for stringing will help you a lot. Pay attention to your posture, manage the trigger and the sights together so that you can interrupt the sensation, make a correction if it's necessary. That'll help you correct sooner, and breathe deeply and relax, and try not to add extra tension or pressure to your shooting. All right, guys, I hope that helps you out a lot. You can see it on your Mantis. You watch for the aiming graph and you'll see yourself float up or down right during the aiming process. It gives you a great insight on that aiming process of what you're doing, so you need to use that for it. Thanks for watching Active Self-Protection Extra. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'm Brian Hill with The Complete Combatant, and as always, measure, refine, and perform.